Welcome to the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast, the podcast where ideas ignite, clarity strikes, and those aha moments are born.
We're not just talking about business, we're sparking connections and uncovering real solutions for real entrepreneurs.
We'll sit down with the experts and business thought leaders and shine a light on the everyday entrepreneurs, the ones grinding it out in their shops, offices, even their living rooms.
Whether you're dreaming of launching the next big tech startup, growing a side hustle, or just finding smarter ways to support your family, this is the place for you.
So let's spark something great together. Welcome to the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome to the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast. I am Daniel Callahan, back with you again here with Derek Stone, and we're ready for another week. Had a great conversation last week with Michael Thompson. That was last week.
It was last week.
Man, that was a fast week.
It was a fast week.
That went by way too fast. Had a great conversation with him. Enjoyed it. Working with volunteers. He's a minister over at Marks Point, with working with the youth, and had a lot of great insights in how to work with volunteers and balancing ministry with responsibilities of running a ministry of that size. All great principles that we can apply in business and in Christian business across the board. So it was a great week, and we're looking forward to another week. We've got a little bit different of a setup this week. It's just you and me, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't find anybody to come in here. We're just running out of folks. They're like, you know what? It's just we don't like these. No, it's actually really good kind of to get back to just you and I for a moment and
Sure.
kind of, you know, I guess I don't know. There's a lot of topics that we talk about, you know, outside of the show that we need to kind of bring up here and bring to the people, and we talk a lot and clear our heads, and you know, I think it's time to put it on the air.
We say it all the time. We'll be talking and we're like, man, we should have been recording that, or we need to talk about it on the show, and then we forget.
Yeah.
We're brilliant when we're not on the air.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I mean, honestly, you get some really fine words of wisdom, and you're like, oh, that came out perfect. And then on the air, you're like,
right. The most profound things I've ever said in my life were just me in my room by myself. Yeah. So that's, I'm like, nobody heard that? Okay, well, there you go.
Who was
and why am I talking out loud by myself?
Answer my own question.
But it is profound, right?
That's it.
But I want to give us an opportunity that kind of worked. I mean, everybody, we did have a guest today. They were not able to come. They had some emergencies. Weren't able to come today. And that's part of being a business owner.
It is.
Things come up all the time. So we completely understand. We're always ready. I mean, we can talk. This is what we love to do. This is not a job for us. This is something we love talking about and pouring into Christian entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general about what God's called us to do in this. And I think God has done some amazing things for us. And so it's always exciting just to get an opportunity to talk about it. Give everybody kind of an insight into what the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast is, where we're going, and what we're doing. We've got a dream board the size of, well, a dream. It's huge. It's God just keeps giving us more and more things. Of course, when we're taking those consistent steps of building it right and doing it well, not stretching ourselves too thin, because obviously we have businesses outside of this as well. So we have little time a lot of times, but we make sure what we do is going to be the maximum quality, maximum benefit to whatever we do. So we're master time blockers.
Yes.
Well, we're time blockers, at least.
Yes.
So,
I'll just agree with whatever.
Every day I move a time block. I just do every day. It's just how it works. But we wanted to kind of, one of the things I think God has given us this year is kind of our vision for what we'd like to see ARC do, because we've heard from so many different people. The more people we talk to, the sharper our vision becomes. Right. At the very beginning, and we've talked about this before, it kind of started out a little different, and it was a little bit more personal to me and to us at the very beginning, but it's grown so much broader now. It's so much bigger. And we kind of hear from what entrepreneurs in our experience and with Christian entrepreneurs, what do they need? How can we be that resource to them? So we kind of looked at this overall. We've always said, what is an entrepreneur? What do they look like? What is the support that they need? We can come here and give them a bunch of tools. There's plenty of podcasts out there that go, here's 10 steps to maximize your marketing. Here's, this to maximize your profit lines. Here's how to do a P&L, all that kind of stuff. And we want to do those kind of things. But there's also a mind behind every Christian businessman. There's a soul behind every Christian business person. And we want to be able to minister to that. We want to be able to sharpen that overall. And so I know this is, you've been doing a lot of devotionals. Tell people a little bit about the devotionals you've written. You've got a lot.
Yeah, I got, I don't know, probably 80-something of them we've written. We've only published maybe, 20-some odd of them, but there's a lot more in the works out there, and they're all coming. So a lot of them are, different principles, and they come from we take secular principles, and obviously all the secular principles come directly from the Bible.
Sure.
Right? There's nothing new under the sun that the Bible doesn't really cover.
Yeah.
They're just put into secular words. Well, what I do is I take it and I reverse it back to, what the Bible says about it.
Yeah.
And we put it back into a Christian perspective. And so you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And it kind of, for me, and hopefully the readers will see the same thing, that, first off, the Bible is true and correct. And if you want to find a book that contains all those principles without going and buying all these other books, and it's fine to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a whole library of books. That's great. But you can also have just the Word of God.
Absolutely.
And that's all you'll need.
It's foundation.
100% the foundation, the cornerstone of it all.
Yeah. We said this, we were on the phone, Tuesday, and we said, people come out with these profound things, and we hear that, and we're like, man, that's so profound. But then once you hear it, you go, well, yeah, I mean, I've known that all along. I've just never put it together. It's that profound is what everybody knows, just stated out loud for the first time.
Right.
And because it brought, I heard something yesterday, a guy on, I think he was on my reels somewhere, but he was an author, and he said, this is how I deal with critics. And he said, I think I've invented this technique. He said, when a critic says something very unkind or just rips me to shreds, I make it a point to email them and say something kind to them. I call it the kindness principle. I think I invented that. And immediately I go, nope, but that's straight from the Bible.
That's right.
Kindness to your enemy is like heaping hot coals onto their head.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like a direct quote. You just quoted the Bible and you didn't even know it.
That's right.
And it's amazing how many of these principles, you talk about different, like the Pareto, I always say Pareto. I don't know if it's Pareto or Perdido. Perdido?
Yeah.
Pareto principle.
Perdido. Well, we're close to Perdido.
Right.
Perdido key. You can call it
all
that.
these different principles. You try to tie a lot of your devotionals to a business principle.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Every one of them are founded in Scripture.
Yeah.
It's the profound is until you state it, you don't really realize it's the only foundation we really need. Everything else is just making it make sense to us in a lot of ways. So we put those out on Mondays. Supposed to put all those out on Mondays. We'll email it to everybody. If you're on if you go to our website and hit subscribe, you'll get an email every Monday as well with it in it, but you can access it on our articles. And we're planning on putting that in a book form.
Yeah.
For people to use that
Absolutely.
in a devotional.
We were just watching season 5 of The Chosen at the theaters. To those who haven't watched it, in the theater. It is getting really good. We still got, I think, 3 more episodes to watch. It's phenomenal. But, it's coming up on Palm Sunday. Jesus has just entered into the temple, and they try to stop him from going in. And they said, you need to get your disciples to not keep talking about you, and it's inevitable that he's getting ready to be crucified. Mm-hmm. We're getting to this point in the Bible. And in the Word of God, it says the same thing. If they don't say it, these rocks will cry out.
Yeah.
Right? So the Word of God itself will come out.
Mm-hmm.
That guy that you were just mentioning, he says that. Even if he's not a Christian, he doesn't even realize it, because the Word of God is going to find its way out.
Yep.
It's going to come out here. And it's going to get into the minds of people who need to hear that in that principle. And then they're going to read it in a word later on and go, God was there the whole time. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
But he spoke to me, maybe at a comedy show in the way a comedian said something.
Yeah.
Maybe at a business conference in the way that person presented that. But it's the same principle found here in John or Mark or in Hebrews or whatever it may be. because the rocks will cry out.
Yeah. Well, I go back to this sometimes. The scripture doesn't say that God tells the truth. He doesn't say that God is loving. Mm. It says God is truth. God is love.
Right.
Right. So all truth is God's truth. It
Yeah.
leads all back to Him,
Yep.
regardless of what it is. And people say the Bible's not a science book. It's
Yeah.
not a history book. It's not this. You're right. It's a revealed knowledge of God.
Yeah.
But all truth, all science, all mathematics, all business principles, all principles that work and have foundation in truth that show themselves to be true, all are tied back to God.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I think He's revealed that over and over again. You can't, it's going to be very difficult for you as a Christian business person to be able to operate with integrity, to be able to operate in truth, to be able to operate with values without being founded daily in Scripture. We probably all go through that phase of, I know it. I'll pray on the way, or I'll do this. Take time and stop every day. It makes a huge difference. Get in God's Word. Read something.
Yeah.
Just listen to God. That's going to show you something. And take that time to have a conversation with your Lord and Savior every single day. I promise you, He will bring things to your mind in the stillness of that moment. He will convict you. He will encourage you. He will wrap His arms around you in that moment. He will guide you through every step. But you have to take the time to do that. We talk about time blocking tasks. Well, how often do we time block being quiet and spending time with the Lord? Make sure that's part of your schedule every day. So we want to do things like that help entrepreneurs take the time, make it a little easier to make that decision. Yeah. So, we talk about the best leaders are the ones that can remove the most amount of roadblocks from those that follow them to enable them to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Not setting up roadblocks to make it more difficult, or just telling them and what to do and leaving and hoping for the best. Removing as many roadblocks as possible to make that easy. So we'll do a lot of devotionals. We're going to do we're talking about doing some things video-based devotionals. We are going to launch something called 5 at 5. We're going to encourage business people to partner with us and to pledge to try this out for 5 days, to get up at 5 a.m. and do 5 things. And we'll tell you what that is. But we're going to make that part of it, obviously, is going to be prayer and time in the Word, but we're going to do it with you. So we'll be up at 5 a.m. We'll do a video. We'll have it posted out that people can watch. A little time of prayer with each other, a little word for your day to help you get going. One of them's going to be exercise, just so you know that. So we probably just lost everybody. But you don't have to bench press 350 to get your blood flowing in the morning. But we want to take kind of a holistic view of an entrepreneur, a mind, body, and spirit in that. And so, we're doing something. We're going to start putting out book recommendations. Yeah. Now, I will tell you, we're going to put out a lot of books that we recommend you doing. We don't sponsor any of these books, and we don't say this book has all the answers, but it's going to be a good resource for you. And we're going to enable you to buy it through us as well, get it, and or you can find a digital copy anywhere. But we're going to put out books every week that are going to help sharpen you as a business person, sharpen you as a human being. We'll put a lot of that kind of stuff out there. We're writing a lot of stuff of our own as well that we'll put out there for you. And we want to help educate you in your business. A lot of people have those. We're trying to identify what are those roadblocks, those stop signs that everybody has. Yeah. It's like, start a business. Well, how in the world do you do that? Well, right now on our page, we have a step-by-step process of how to get your business going. Now, this is just from a legal standpoint, but that's a lot of times the most confusing part. Right. Everybody's got the idea, but how to set up an LLC, step-by-step right there on the website, help you going. That's for the state of Florida right now. We got it, and we'll expand it as we hear from listeners and things like that. Yeah. Just different things like that. Even licensures. We're going to have a list of what kind of licensures are required and what fields are required. Now, we're going to start in the state of Florida. That's where we are. We'll expand that over time, but kind of give you the resources that you need to kind of take that excuse out of the way, so make it a little bit easier for you. We want to have some networking events, small groups, prayer breakfasts, things like that, round tables. Just get people together and talk about the things that really matter to them. Yeah, and take them before the Lord.
We were just talking before the show, and we've talked about this, I don't know how many times over the last year, about how some business owners, even who have been in business 25, 30 years or even longer, still don't know how to fully operate their business well. And they don't know all the questions to ask.
Yeah.
And still kind of trying to make it through the day. And it's like, well, okay, they're successful, some of them. Many of them, you wonder how they made it here, but many of them are still successful. But they don't have all the answers to every aspect. And it's really hard to. Part of it is because they need to be, I guess, hiring out certain positions, and they don't because they're afraid because they got to have that control of everything. Well, release some control a little bit, and you'll be surprised how far you can go. And number two is, we've owned our business now 8 years, and still today, my wife, she runs the office, practically runs the business. I try to make it seem like as if I still have some stuff I take care of, but she really does it all.
Well, you do wear the polo.
I do.
So
so I'm the face of the company.
That's
it. It's not a great face either. If you look, it's not all that fantastic.
You might want
It's a great
workshop that one a little bit more.
Yeah, it's the only one that God gave me, so it works. But we get things all the time that she's like, I don't know. I got to go and Google it or whatever, and it's always an update on something from the IRS or how to fill out this new form, or like we just had that, what was the BOI came up, and that was new. We didn't even know about it right off the bat. I think it blindsided a lot of people.
Yeah,
somebody else had to email us and remind us, or tell us about it, and who knows, some things like that. So that's the kind of resource we want to be, is to kind of help that. And then beyond that, I was talking with one of my new superintendent. We were talking about just things of the business nature, that business owners can only talk to business owners. I can't go and I can talk to my superintendent. He's been a previous business owner. I can talk to him and he understands. But your average employee, it's hard to talk to them with these kind of scenarios where you are stressing about something.
Sure.
In your business, because they don't quite understand that. They don't comprehend that. And as a business owner, things on the outside looking in, people may say, well, what's he stressing about? Business is going great.
Yeah.
His family looks all good. He's got to be making good money. Drives a nice car and lives in a nice house, whatever it may be. Or maybe you don't, I don't know, whatever. Well, what you don't see is everything behind that.
Yeah.
Because family, maybe a death in the family. Maybe you got an unexpected bill in the mail.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a health notice. And so you need that kind of help also. And we want to be able to say, hey, here's how other business owners cope with that. So there's a lot of outreach in that aspect too. So not just how to build your business and how to, start your business, but also how to operate within it mentally as well. And that's part of the, 3 parts of it, which is the mind, body, and soul.
If you're thinking about buying your first home, relocating to the area, or investing in real estate, I'm Daniel Callahan, realtor with ERA Old South Properties, and I'm here to make the process simple and stress-free. So whether you're military, moving across town, or looking to grow your portfolio, I've got your back. So let's find the right place right now. Call me at 850-903-4650 and visit my website at danielcallahanrealestate.com. It goes back to what you've always said: businesses don't fail, people do.
That's exactly it.
And it's not that necessarily we think it's because somebody's incompetent. I think people can burn out.
Yeah.
And people can just not recognize their own weaknesses, and they keep trying to push it. People don't ask questions because they don't want to look dumb, or people don't want to ask questions because they're supposed to be the expert, and they don't want to undercut that reputation.
Yeah.
So they get blocked. The better you get, you're still blocked in the same one. But being a little bit vulnerable, which requires some humility, is probably the most beneficial thing for you psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and as a business owner. Just being able to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think, to me, the most exhilarating part of owning business is figuring stuff out that I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
I just absolutely, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it might be more difficult if you're not that kind of person. If you want everything kind of laid out for you, you could probably still start a business, but it'll probably be a little harder for you because it's not going to be laid out for you.
Yeah.
It's just not. But if you like figuring stuff out, and just pushing ahead and doing something. Entrepreneurship is just built for somebody like that. But that kind of person can fry themselves out. Mm-hmm. They can stress themselves out. And they don't usually seek support.
No.
They don't usually go out and seek for help because they want to figure it out themselves.
No, it puts a lot of gray hairs on your head or makes you go bald, right?
Loosens them up.
But what it can do is gives you a lot of resources in the mind on how to handle certain situations. But if you don't reach out and utilize the resources of others, mm-hmm. And find help to get you going, it all falls on you.
Yeah.
There's a term, hey, I wear multiple hats. Well,
sure.
Why is that? Because you got to take care of everything. Well, let me go talk to HR. Well, who's HR? Me.
Spin that chair around.
Somebody calls. This happens now. My wife runs all that, but customers sometimes will call the office and say, "Hey, can I talk to whoever? What do you call it? Somebody who takes the when they call to make a payment.
Billing. Yeah.
Billing. There you go. Thank you.
You don't own a business.
That was terrible. I don't really own a business, so I don't know this lingo.
Case in point.
Where's the real business owners at here? Yes, case in point. Anyway, billing. And I'm like, well, fine. If you want to pretend like we're that big, I'll let you go on about it.
Please hold. I'll transfer.
Just two of us there in the office. Really just one, her. And
you just hand her your phone.
That's
the transfer.
Yep. But, they assumed they were much bigger. But it's just her. She'll transfer herself over to billing from HR, and it's that's kind of hat you have to wear, though. Sometimes you're billing, mm-hmm. sometimes you're HR, sometimes you're the guy in there firing somebody, and you're the guy hiring somebody, and you're the guy out selling, mm-hmm. and it's exhausting.
It is. I actually just kind of imagine you in your office having a little boom box for hold music that you just transfer and set the phone down for just 30 seconds and stare at each other and then transfer and make the beep noise. Yeah. Beep, beep, billing. Oh, yeah.
Have you been in my house watching?
Hold on. The background noise of a lot of people working in the office and stuff like that. That's it. Perception's everything, man.
Exactly. I told that to CG. We had CG from Mo 3D Printing in here, and he said, customers call and they ask about all this production and, about the people in the back, and he's like, I don't have people in the back. I was like, okay, as long as you don't reach out and lie to them, they can build in their mind whatever they want to. You don't have to say, hey, I don't have people in the back. If they want to say that, then fine. Let them think whatever. All that you need to do is just deliver to them. Mm-hmm. So if they think there's 50 people in the back making their product, then let them believe that. You just deliver the product. That's fine.
Don't tell them things they don't need to know.
Don't tell them. You're not, in my mind, you're not lying to them. I don't know, maybe somebody else out there you can text or I guess email at the arcentrepreneurspodcast.com or at gmail.com. Let me know if I'm wrong. But, that's their own mindset. I can't control whether or not they assume that. Maybe I've made them feel.
Well, that's a compliment, though.
Yeah.
If they think what he's done, that's got to require teams of people.
Right.
To accomplish. That says something.
Yeah, and I think that's what it really boils down to. It's not that I'm trying to mislead you. You feel like we're doing such a good job. It's got to be multiple people.
You probably don't want people to think of, that's a one-man operation.
Yeah.
I can tell he does everything himself.
That's exactly it. Like, well, this product turned out
right.
So.
But I think we're. If you're looking at 2025 to start your business, I think this is the year because there's so much. Those kind of things we talk about. You can do so much in your business by yourself.
Yeah.
More so than you could even do 2 years ago. You think about AI and automation. At our property management company right now, I'm helping them implement automations and task management. And it's unbelievable what you can get done with automations for not a lot of money. This is not tools are so affordable now. Even for us, we didn't start with a massive budget or a budget for that matter, but for very little, it's amazing the amount of things that we're able to do. Mm-hmm. We want to get to a point where we can help turn that over to people that can help us with it, who can do it a lot better than we can. But it's amazing what we can do by ourselves. And you think about that going into a business now, there's so many excuses and those stop signs. And I don't mean excuses necessarily in a negative way, but there are some real legit reasons people don't get into business because they don't think they've got the skill sets, or they can't run a business. They've got great ideas, but they don't know anything about it, how to run an actual business. There's just so many things now, especially in AI. I mean, that can automate things that you need to do.
Yeah.
That gives everybody the impression to go, man, you've got to have a team of people back there working. Where are they?
Yeah.
Are they hiding? We're just running out of excuses not to have businesses.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just, we talked about it, some people are just idea guys.
Yeah.
Right, or gals. And with AI, you absolutely can be just an idea person.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, you give the idea. Somebody else is the implementer.
Sure.
They take your idea and they're like, okay, I get it. I didn't see the forest for the trees until you said something. You alluded to that earlier. Now I can take that and I can run with it.
Sure.
And I'll make it a dream come true.
Now there's a lot of people out there, though, that think AI is cheating. It is not cheating. I mean, you can get the same results. If I sat down, it would just take me a couple of hours to get the exact same results.
Yeah.
Why would I spend that amount of time if I can do something that's going to be far more productive to do? We've got the tools to use it. Let's use it. I mean, that's probably a bigger conversation as well. But,
Sure.
Is AI going to rot our brains?
Hey, look, we all drive cars instead of walking.
For now.
Well, true, but
we could be
we
driven
all drive
around by
cars instead of walking. But I will tell you, I'm very upset with Marty McFly that in 2025 we still don't have hoverboards. Okay?
Right.
For one
We
reason,
do.
well, not the kind that he said we
not
would
his.
have. I do rain gutter. We have to climb up 40-foot ladders every so often. It would be really nice to just hover up to it.
You know what?
And install it.
To be honest with
I'm
you,
not
I've got a
being
vision
lazy.
for your gutter company.
Me too.
Think about it. Drones. Huh?
Yes.
Right? Little robot arms. I'm just saying. Design it. I don't think that.
Yeah.
Just imagine them crashing.
Let's just pause for a moment. Some silence.
I said I was an idea
Yeah,
man.
we
Okay, I
bury that.
didn't.
Bury
It's
that.
your job to implement it.
Yeah.
There's your $1 million idea.
Yeah.
We know it's going to happen though. Eventually, it's just gonna be,
It will.
There's
Yeah.
going to be some computerized operation. It's
Yeah.
just going to robotics.
If I could be Magneto, but I work with aluminum mainly, and that doesn't work out. If
A non-magneto.
Well, yeah, if you can make the aluminum work, but I don't know if that. I guess
That's true.
So that doesn't work out so well.
Well, I'm depressed now, so I thought I had a great idea, but turns out I'm
Just
pretty
figure
dumb.
out the hover.
So,
Real hover.
all right, let's start with what's important. Hoverboards first, then
Yes.
we'll talk about drones installing your gutters. But
Yeah.
we did want to kind of look at some things, try to give you some practical advice going into 2025. Now, we have used this. We've done as much research as we can. We've had help from AI as well to analyze a lot of different things that are coming through. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you may know we're in a very unique time in our country's history. We've got trade wars going on, tariffs and restructuring and Doge, all these kind of things. You see a massive just kind of shift in the business world. I will say, encourage you, do not look at the stock market and make any decisions about life or business or the future based off of it, because they are the biggest panickers in the entire world. They're going to be just as happy today as they were depressed yesterday.
That's right.
But we've noticed a lot of volatility in the last few weeks. But it also can open up a lot of opportunities. I mean, you look at tariffs. For instance, right now, I think President Trump's taking tariffs on China up to 125%.
125%.
Right now. I know a lot of people are going to fall down on one side or the other. I think you're going to see a major restructuring, and that's going to be pushing a lot of things back to the United States and holding a lot of foreign actors responsible.
Yeah.
For a lot of things they haven't been. I mean, it's no secret China's been stealing trillions of dollars worth of intellectual property from the United States for decades.
Yeah.
And I've never paid a dime for it. And I've never had any consequences for it. So I say a lot of that, not to make any political statements, but you're probably going to see a lot of manufacturing shift back to the United States. And that is not an island of an industry. Everything is connected to manufacturing. I mean, from transportation to retail, to different types of businesses that spring up around manufacturing, what it does to communities, how it reinvests and redistributes all across the logistics chain.
Yeah.
From materials to the actual, the manufacturing itself and that impact, and then, everything that's manufactured from it. You'll see a lot of things start returning back. Does that mean prices may go up? It might.
Yeah.
But the affordability will balance that. Our debt can go down.
Yeah.
But we can start seeing a lot of opportunities. And I want to see Christians being on the forefront of that. Yeah. I think we spend a lot of time kind of on the sidelines barking at the wind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, man, look at the world. It's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. Well, I'm going to go to break now.
Yeah. That's it.
We're not doing anything about it.
Yep.
We're allowing the world to take the lead on these kind of things. And we have brilliant people in our Christian communities that need to step out and take that risk.
Yeah.
And do those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's a scary world. But as far as industries we've talked about, we've kind of put we'll have up on our website and our new resources page. So hopefully by the time this airs, that'll actually be out. But we've talked about some of the top industries in 2025 as of right now. So some of these could shift up and down as far as priority, but I kind of separate them into two different things. Not everybody wants to go into a technology-driven industry.
Right.
And not everybody wants to go into a skill trade-driven industry
No.
as well. So we've kind of looked at them in those two different kinds of categories. Overall industries that could be a mix of skill trade, or some are just tech, but these are the ones in 2025. We're going to talk about them just a little bit, but I want to at least talk about at least the top 5 out of either of these, but we've got plenty of time because it's just us. But number 1, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I mean, we just talked about it. I mean,
cheaters.
Even in the last few weeks, AI is exponentially grown in its capability. Just in the, what do they call them? The language learning models, Chat GPTs, and the what's the Perplexity, or what's it called? There's a bunch of different ones.
That's above my head.
Yeah, Gemini, all the different kinds of AIs that are out there. They've just exploded every about 6 months or less.
And what's really cool about AI is that they won't be taking over.
They've told us.
They did tell us.
They
said, "Don't worry, we're not taking over.
We're your friends. We promise. Go to sleep now."
And then in fine print at the bottom, I think before it disappeared, it said,
"Yet,
cannot confirm or deny yet."
But of course, AI and machine learning are revolutioning every sector of industry right now. Automating tasks or enhancing analytics, even personalizing customer experience. This is a big one.
And this is everywhere. So for our listening audience won't see this, so I'll kind of describe it, but our viewing audience will see this. And so you've seen these all over the place. This is AI. And Alicia, my wife, and I talked about this yesterday, how AI will change everything. You literally just type it in, and you see these all over, like these action figure things, right? You type in what you want, and it pops up this image, and it looks like somebody took a picture of a package from a Walmart or something. And then I bet you there's somebody out there that could take that image and make that product,
CG.
Yeah, CG, same day or something. So I did one of myself here. And
that kind of looks like Al from Home Improvement.
It kind of does. I don't usually take pictures of myself. Right. I don't take pictures of myself, so that's the best AI I had to work with. And then I did Daniel Callahan here, and AI is really smart, so you folks don't have to worry too much. But in the picture here, it says, instead of Daniel Callahan, it says Daniel Brown.
Apparently Callahan's too long.
Callahan's too long to fit on a package. So it said, you know what, forget that. We'll just put Daniel Brown. But they look, when you get up really close, it's not really.
That's not the best one of you. The other one that's, you've got the drill. And
I did another one of them.
That one looked really.
Gutter installer expert.
Yeah. Now that one looks like you.
It does. And, it's got my salty gray beard and the black shirt.
It's scary.
Yeah.
How good it looks.
The tan's even there. My bald head. Yeah, the whole thing. It's really cool. And, if you've seen these floating around anywhere, that's what AI can do. And that generated in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it took for these to
That's
do.
just the fun stuff that AI does.
Right.
The serious stuff it can do is mind-blowing.
It is.
And not to nerd out, but they have something called quantum computing, which has just kind of come onto the scene in the last couple of years because it wasn't thought possible for, the last 40 or 50 years. It can do in a few minutes what it would take supercomputers that we've been using for the last 20 years, millions of years to complete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mind-blowing because it uses light on the quantum scale.
Yeah.
We're going to see an explosion over the next few years, and we need to be at the forefront of it.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily everybody has to go into AI, but using it to our advantage and being able to exploit what we can to position ourselves in a stronger position as Christian businessmen in the future, don't bypass it. Don't bypass it at all.
I saw an article a few months ago, and it talked about, and of course, AI since then, it just changes so rapidly. It said it's like what the Earth looks like in front of the sun, just a speck. So the speck was what our understanding or our capabilities were before AI. And at that moment, the sun represented what AI's capabilities were at that moment. And now it's exponentially larger than that now, and it just keeps growing. Yeah. And I mean, anything. We all know if you've tried ChatGPT, you just type in anything, and in a split second, it's already typing it out and already finalizing stuff. And it's like, okay, I can't even think of the question I want to ask that quickly.
You want to ask ChatGPT, can you form a question for you based on what I think? Because I can't think of it.
That's right.
I will say the only thing that I've found that AI cannot do for me, because it keeps sending me to charge. So in property management, every month, if somebody's late, legally we have to go deliver them a notice. I mean, we can mail it, but it adds 5 more days, right? So we go hand deliver. A lot of times it's just me hand delivering, or a few of us. And if it's a bad month, there's 30 people in a day.
Yeah.
You got to go see from all over the place. I mean, it took 7.5 hours. But I was like, you know what? Google Maps only allows you to do 10 destinations.
Uh-huh.
Apple Maps, which is based off Google, they'll allow you to do 14. And then you got to pay to have a route map for you with anything more than that. So I was like, I know ChatGPT will do this. I put it all in there. I even asked it, can you do up to 30 locations? Sure, absolutely. Send me the locations. Then it went and said, it looks like we can't do that many. Try to go to this and all this kind of stuff. And he said, we tried to group them together. Basically, all they did was group it into Pensacola, and it wasn't any better. So if you're listening out there, whoever designed ChatGPT, get it together.
Well, as big as it is,
tired of driving all over the place.
So I'm not worried about them taking over yet.
I guess I'm going to have to get one of those $20 a month routing.
Well, that's
apps.
why they do it. They keep you going. And have you noticed? Have you seen ChatGPT's pricing? It's like $20 a month, and then the next one is like $200.
There's no middle ground.
I'm like 20. Okay, it's a little bit of stuff. Is there next thing? $200. I'm like, nope, never mind.
I'll do everything for you.
I'll just stick with the free one and forget it.
If you're serious about it,
we'll
work against you until you pay over 120. But anyway, AI, machine learning, number one. Green technology and sustainability is projected to be the number 2 industry this year, mainly because there is a demand for more sustainable solutions. Of course, we've heard that for the last few years. That industry's had a lot of trouble because it turns out there's not a lot of actual renewable resources.
Yeah.
Solar panels use so much more petroleum-based manufacturing than anything else, and it's a net negative on what they're trying to achieve. But I mean, I think this, even from a Christian perspective, we've got to think long term. Eventually, we're going to run out of oil at some point, right? Think about all the things in our daily life that are based off petroleum products, from the computers we're using to the medical equipment, to the cars we drive, obviously. The houses we live in, everything.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out something, at least in the next few 100 years. But if we can do it now and it's sustainable, I mean, I think that's just smart business. I mean, you wouldn't want to start a business that has a definitive end
right.
to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to start a business called 2025.
Yeah.
And then close it down on the 31st. That's a terrible long-term strategy.
That's right.
But even that industry is expected to hit almost $2 trillion in the next 3 years.
Did you realize that toy dinosaurs are actual dinosaurs?
It's true. They're made from the remains of their dead ancestors. That is kind of dark.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow. It's almost like a dinosaur voodoo.
It's
Protect your home with the best in the business. Duncan Custom Gutter and Coppercraft. From seamless gutters to stunning custom copper work, we deliver top quality craftsmanship that lasts. Say goodbye to leaks, fogs, and water damage with expert installation and repairs from the local pros you can trust. Call Duncan Custom Gutter and Coppercraft at 850-455-7246. Again, that's 850-455-7246. Or find us online at DuncanCustomGutter.com. Duncan Custom Gutter, where we say doing it right is cheaper than doing it over.
Man, okay. Well,
sorry, that took a turn.
Let's stop and pray for a second. Get that off.
Jesus.
Number 3, this is a big one. E-commerce and online retail. I still love retail. I really do. So I get excited when I hear this. But where this is really growing is niche markets in retail. Obviously, the value market in retail has been pretty much cornered. Those are those big box stores. They're going to fight it out forever. And they're just so mammoth. Don't expect to start the next Walmart. You know, somebody may. I mean, nobody said that back there when we had Woolworths.
Right.
When's the last time you passed one of those? They shut down 50 years ago. But online shopping is huge, and it's expected to hit $27 trillion in e-commerce by 2028.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
I mean, if you can imagine, 27 trillion. If every person on earth could run I don't even know the math on that, a multi-million-dollar business, e-commerce business, and never meet each other. You know, that is a massive market. I think every business should have some sort of e-shop component.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
Alicia and I were talking about this the other day when it comes to like grocery shopping. Everybody does, not everybody, but most people do a lot of the grocery shopping online and go pick it up or have it delivered. You know, and what does that cut out? Coupon use, right? And maybe there's some way to do it out there. I'm not savvy enough to know that, but in my mind, I'm thinking that's got to cut out some coupon usage. You know, especially really savvy couponing, and maybe that's not a huge market of couponers anymore because it used to be a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she used to be real savvy in couponing, but it cuts that out a lot. And, you know, and then of course we all know when you're online shopping and you're just dropping in the cart, you're not thinking about it. And when you're swiping the card, you're not thinking about it. The same as when you're pulling out a $100 bill and you're watching Grant go away. It's different than watching Visa just swipe or entering the number. You know, when Amazon's just one click, all that information's in there. You're like, well, $100. You don't even think about it. You're just like, yeah, there's that item.
Yep.
Then you're like, that's $130?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Well, it's too late. I already got it.
Yep. You make it easy. I mean, we talked about the same thing with employees.
Yeah.
You make a process easy, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah.
And complete it well. It's the same thing on the shopping experience. I mean, you talk on the retail side, coupons are still out there.
Yeah.
But they're about I think last about a $9 billion industry, which is not bad.
Right.
But comparatively pretty small. Mainly because what killed that was mainly Google. I'll tell you why, because you didn't have to go onto a different site or look at, you know, Kroger's ad or Walmart's ad or this ad. By the way, Walmart doesn't do ads anymore. Most of the big ones don't do those circulars anymore for this very reason, because you go on Google and look for whatever item you're looking for, and what's the first line that comes across on the top? All the places it's listed and their prices.
Yep.
Right? All your comp shops just been done. You make the decision. You're not going around looking for a coupon.
No.
If I can just order it right there.
Yeah.
And so, I know that like some of the big ones have said, we're not doing coupons anymore. We're just going to compete based on price.
Yeah.
So they just reduced prices across the place and made it easier for them to choose them. So it's not necessarily a dying trade, but it's going to be much more niche.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not attracting them to your store anymore. You're attracting them online, and it's a lot easier for me to go from website to website than it is for me to go, I don't want to drive 10 more minutes to Publix versus Walmart. I'll just go to Walmart, or I'll just go ahead and go to Publix.
And I will tell you this for small businesses. I will tell you where couponing is kind of moving, where it's who's using it more effectively, are coupons for small local businesses.
Yes.
Not necessarily the big chains like, the Krogers and the Walmarts. People that sell, they can sell their coupons or issue their coupons in large population businesses that don't need the coupons.
Yeah.
They can issue it that'll drive customers to their local businesses.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of see that. That's kind of the only sector you really see coupon growth, and it works.
Yeah.
Of course, it's everything in marketing. Everything works and nothing works.
Yeah.
But it's outside. It's a resource out there that a lot of people. That's kind of the sector you're kind of seeing couponing in. But e-commerce, online retail, if you're not in it, go for it. 100%.
Yeah.
Even affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Walmart has affiliate marketing now.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, it's a lot different than like Amazon on affiliate marketing. And by the way, we're testing out all of these as well at the Entrepreneur Podcast, where all the kind of side gigs and things like that, what you can implement in your business, we're testing here at our Entrepreneur. So you'll see some stuff roll out from us. Amazon has a very short window. If they click a link and they can shop within a certain window, everything that they buy in that cart can be a commission for that affiliate. Walmart, it's 30 days. If they click your link, you shop within that 30-day window. People go into the beauty of Walmart is they'll click your link looking at a baby blanket.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and do my grocery shopping.
Yeah.
They'll give you a commission off that entire grocery cart. It's pretty incredible. They've set it up. Okay. And trust me, Walmart's not losing any money here, guys.
No.
They're doing okay. Take advantage of it. There's so many things out there to do. It takes a lot of time. It does. But if you've got some extra time, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're just trying to supplement your family's income, have some extra spending cash, affiliate programs are great ways to do it. You can do it all from your phone.
Yeah.
But that's e-commerce as well. So
yeah.
It's a little different form. But a big one growing is health and wellness. Now, my wife loves this one. She is a health nut, or she loves fitness at least. This industry is going to hit $4.5 trillion. Excuse me. It was at $4.5 trillion in 2018 and is expected to have doubled already, and is going to continue to grow. We see a lot more people focusing in on themselves, especially as you start seeing podcasts grow, and health podcasts are growing. And you're seeing guys like Joe Rogan using different supplements and things like this and having a big impact. I mean, I think I see that drink supplement, the neuroplasticity drinks and things like that all the time. They're not the cheapest thing in the entire world, but they're selling millions and millions of units of it. People are looking for, have the technology in our world now to be able to develop these kind of supplements that are healthy and driven, but that can benefit you, especially in business. You want to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You got to exercise. You've got to eat better.
Yep.
I'm not expecting you to eat, baked chicken 3 meals a day, but eat better. And you need to supplement. Yeah. 100%. You need to supplement. You cannot get everything you need from food.
Yep.
It's impossible to eat that much food to get the beneficial therapeutic levels of some of these. There's a lot of those. We're going to have some guests on there, and I'll talk about a lot of that stuff too.
I mean, Dr. Gray talked about a lot of the different, what she say, over 200 different diseases or, ailments that.
Or deficiencies.
Yeah.
Because of deficiencies. Yeah.
And so it's just, health and wellness. I started seeing her because I had gained a lot of weight, and I used to be a lot slimmer, and then I gained a lot of weight, and I had to go see a weight loss specialist, and that was more mind control, I guess, so to speak. Because break a habit of getting through my mind of doing it.
Sure.
Because portion controls was never a problem, but portion of the chocolate bar.
I only ate one portion. It's 2.5 pounds.
Was the hard part, but that's about that. But yeah, I mean, people are getting more health conscious and understanding. But you look back, people drink a lot of the Red Bulls, or because they want to wake up and be rejuvenated because work is stressful, or coffee has become a bigger hit. When I was younger, people drinking coffee, you're like, "What are you, old?"
Yeah.
But now it's like, what are you, not hip enough?
Right.
Everybody's drinking coffee,
Yep.
but it's not because they're just drinking coffee. It really rejuvenates them, keeps them going, and that's what it's really kind of for, right? And that's just a couple of drinks. I mean, you got all these other types of drinks out there, but that's the idea. Is okay, well, that drink, or this food, or this pill or whatever. So I mean, health and wellness is out there.
Yeah.
Still, people just don't like to go to the gym.
No.
I for one.
Well, you're gonna have to start coming with me. Listen, I go to the gym probably 6 days a week, and I'm not. That's not a brag. That's because I don't do like an hour-long workout. I go and I run for just a few minutes. When I say run, or fast walk, get the blood moving, and I do 3 or 4 of those set machines. Work out different muscle groups every single day. It takes me about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I listen to a podcast, or a lot of times a Bible study while I'm walking, or something like that, and it just sets my day off.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not in there pumping 350 pounds and grunting and trying to do all this. I'm just trying to be healthier. I'm trying to be a little bit more flexible, not be so tired, and be able to pick up my kids when they want to be picked up without going, right? It's little things. It doesn't take a lot of time to be able to do. And there's so many convenient ways to do it, especially if you live in a little larger city like we do. It's a little bit more convenient, but they've got so much at-home stuff. That's another thing. We're coming out with they're going to help you in your body exercise programs for entrepreneurs at differing levels. Whatever you're able to do, you can do something. But we want to make it easy for you and remove that roadblock. Here are some basic things to kind of do. Here's what to kind of look at when you eat. Not necessarily here's a diet. Here's some things to look at when you eat to make better decisions when you do it that are going to avoid those big crashes.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than having a busy day and about 2 o'clock you can't keep your eyes open anymore and you just feel and your productivity is gone for 3 hours.
Yeah.
How do we avoid those different kinds of things? So you'll see a lot of that. Anyway, health and wellness, big industry. Financial technology is a big one. Education technology. I tell you, more people are making money by making their own webinars about anything and everything.
Yeah.
And there's tools out there that can help you do that affordably. You've got something, something that you can communicate to somebody that's going to help them. Try it out. I'm not saying we're going to start doing webinars yet, but that technology is out there. We rely on that. A lot of people are making a great living doing education technology. Cybersecurity, electric vehicles, we're seeing a huge rise in those. But the bigger industry on that is the charging infrastructure. The electric vehicle industry is growing, but the charging infrastructure is not matching it.
Yeah.
They need some people to be some pioneers.
Yeah.
And being able to do that. I mean, you see, the people that make the biggest impact in culture are usually the crazy ones. They're just on that. They're crazy enough to think that they can do something that everybody else thought was impossible.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to teeter on that edge. Remote work tools and collaboration technology. I mean, listen, I'm implementing something like this in our property management company. It makes a massive difference in what smaller companies can do. There's got to be somebody out there to design those. There's got to be somebody out there that can help people implement those. And I can tell you, if you want to know more about that, the infrastructure already exists. What most of these companies do is take the infrastructure that's already been done, they buy the rights to it, and they design a user-friendly kind of casing around it that allows people that aren't tech savvy to operate and to access those kind of big functions of those big systems into a user-friendly interface for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, creating a phone that's hugely complex, an iPhone that somebody doesn't know any technology, and just putting everything in 9 buttons on there and still enable them to do everything. There's just amazing ways that you can get involved in those kind of industries. The other big one we want to talk about, and we're running a little short on time for our radio show, so we'll try to get through these, and we'll continue talking a little bit. We'll expand them out. But skilled trade, I'll tell you, more people... and listen, I went to college, went all the way through, got the piece of paper at the end of it. But I'll tell you, more people are making an impact in business that never went to college, and it's not always necessary. I think, to be quite honest, in my personal opinion, this is not the endorsed opinion of our Entrepreneur podcast. I don't think, unless you're going into a field that requires it. For instance, I don't want a medical doctor that learned it online or just, from the the School of Hard Knocks. I want
I
want somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that requires it, and we're talking about mostly STEM fields.
Yeah.
And other specialized fields that were required as well. I think if you're going into the ministry, I think you need some education.
Yeah.
I really do, 100%. Some fields require it. But I think if you're trying to be a businessman or a businesswoman, it's not necessary for you to go to school.
Correct.
Now, you want to manage. If your business starts getting bigger and you're like, well, this is outside of my skill set, yeah, sure, go get some continuing education or something like that. Better hire the people that already got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be in that position. But skill trade, number one, probably this year is electrician, and for several reasons. One is because of the industries we talked about before. They require massive infrastructure in order for them to succeed. That requires that downflow, that trickle down. When an industry up at top is starting to take precedence, then it's going to hit every single aspect of that logistics line all the way down. And that means infrastructure, number one. Electricians are going to be at the forefront of it. Everything runs on power, everything. Number two, plumbers. Again, this is back in infrastructure. We're going to start seeing now this is on in my house now. You're going to start seeing as construction materials start becoming more affordable after these tariff wars are starting to calm down. The rental market and the buyers market, sellers market, and rental market are all kind of in equilibrium right now, kind of balanced out. It's really weird for everybody. It's hugely beneficial to sell your home right now. It's hugely beneficial to buy. It's hugely beneficial to invest and hugely beneficial to sell right now. You've got the highest liquidity.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more homes start coming on the market. You're going to see a lot more new construction coming in soon, very much, because you're seeing this infrastructure, these industries growing, and they're going to be pushing people towards where these industries are growing. You're going to see a lot of growth. We're seeing that in our city right now in Pensacola, out there in Pace, Milton area. It's kind of cooled off for a year or two. It's coming in full earnest right now.
Yeah.
It's just going to start explode. So you're going to see those construction-based skill trades explode. HVAC techs, if you live in Florida,
man,
you're happier to see an HVAC tech than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Welders, I'll tell you, marine welders. I know what they made back in the 90s. That was the last time I knew a marine welder. I can only imagine what they make 30 years later. That's unbelievable. It's very dangerous, but highly skilled trade. You're seeing a lot of that. Carpenters, masonry, all of these are kind of built as those big manufacturing starts returning, the construction market starts to grow. You're going to see all these downfield industries rise with all boats all the way down, even to sheet metal workers. Construction managers. I didn't see gutter work on here. I guess that's sheet metal.
We'll
I guess
take
that's
it
sheet
when we
metal.
get it.
And manufacturing going to be a big one, because you're seeing a lot of. You saw immediately when President Trump put those 125% tariffs, factories all over China shut down. All of them are state owned, but most of them are very small. Everybody has to get a job in a communist society, so instead of having one big factory, you have a bunch of small ones all over the place. Most of them shut down.
Yeah.
A lot of them may not open again.
Yeah.
You're going to see that manufacturing start coming back to the States. So you kind of think, he's like, I can't open up a factory. That's not usually first step in your business venture.
Right.
But there's something down line on that logistics line that's going to be a niche market that you're going to be able to fill. And it's just finding that and exploiting it.
That's it.
And being able to do it. There's a lot of trades. We're going to update this more and more as the year goes on. Going to help you make decisions, give you best, and there'll be resources that you can read in on your own. Do the research, do the study. Don't just take a gut reaction or a gut idea. Work it out. There's a lot of guys out there. I think of one example. A guy was in college and found out that he could buy supplements from overseas. I think it was in Europe. Have it sent here, repackage it, and sell it with a license. All online. And then he found a company overseas that would package it for him and just ship it directly to customers. Right? Never built a building. Never hired a staff. And at 21 years old, was making $1,000 in profit a day.
Wow.
That ain't bad.
No.
And I always think, why wasn't I that smart?
Yeah.
Why didn't I do that? But what I'm saying is he had an idea. He heard about it and went, I need to look into that. Looked into it and got it set up in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's millions of ways. I wish I was, especially in my early 20s, had taken advantage of some of those opportunities. I had a very clear focus of what I wanted to do in my 20s. Now that I'm in my 40s and I'm not doing that anymore, I'm freed up. So everything's game right now. So I'm enjoying it.
We talked about it with Pastor Michael last week. If we got time, if you are in your early 20s, that's the perfect time to ask questions to
100%.
those who are older.
Yep.
Because they're willing to pass that information along to you a lot easier than they are to me in my 40s or somebody in their 50s or 60s who may be considered their competition, direct competition. But as a youth, they're like, and it's okay to be called a youth at 20 when you're just trying to get information. Sure. They're going to be like, yeah, I'll impart some wisdom to you. It makes them feel better. Everybody likes talking about themselves, right?
Right. Everybody wants to feel like the expert. Too.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're running the next $1 million business, and you didn't have to put in all the trial and error. You just take that guy's time that he took 25, 35, 45 years building something, and he just imparted that wisdom to you over a course of 6 or 7 weeks of you just asking questions.
It's always better to learn from somebody else's trial and error than your own.
And he gives it to you for free.
Right.
Where a lot of people will charge. They'll probably give it to you for free. All you got to do is ask.
Sure.
And that's another part of the Bible. What does the Bible say? Ask.
And you will receive. Yeah.
And you will receive.
And that's a word too to our entrepreneurs who are in that later part of their lives that have built businesses, all differing levels of success. It's your turn to invest in that younger generation to make sure. That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a duty, I think.
Don't die with it. Pass it on.
Don't hold it tight to you. I've met a lot of people that don't want to give away their secret.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid they'll be overcome. World's big enough. You're not going to be overcome. But secondly, you've denied someone that God has called to go into business, and you've denied your calling to build other people up and to grow and have an impact as Christian business people. We should be different.
Yeah.
We should be different than the business person down the road.
Yeah. I mean, we say it all the time. We don't have competition. I understand that there's competition out there and what that generally means, but I'm my own competition, right? I'm going to go win and lose a job myself. Yeah, there's other aspects that cost me where I don't win a job, but for the most part, what keeps me busy is what we do right in our business. And so for me to go out and give information to another business isn't going to all of a sudden run the well dry.
Right.
Matter of fact, they're probably going to do the same in return.
Sure.
When they're doing well, they're going to say, you know what, that's who you call. And that happens in my industry. There's guys that say, I can't get to you, call this person. And they'll say, hey, I can't get to you, call Duncan. And that works out well.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, that's something I can't do well, call Martins, call Duncan.
Sure.
Call them. That's what we do.
Shout out to Martins.
Yeah, shout out to Martins.
If you'd like to sponsor us,
I won't tell you who Martins
call us at
That's
the ARC
name.
Entrepreneur.
No, their real name. And they've been around a while, and so we do that. We'll kind of pass each other's names back and forth. But he's not, in my mind, he's not my direct competition.
Sure.
I don't sit here and sweat him. And so if I needed to pass information to him, which I generally don't need to, I could and not sweat it because it makes him better. And when he rises up, it helps me to become better as well.
Absolutely.
It raises the whole entire, genre of what we do.
Well, that opens up a perfect conversation topic that I wanted to cover. And we're well into welcome to our bonus content and podcast. How Christian business culture interacts with itself and how its testimony is shown. I think a lot of times we see this in our church. Christians treat each other worse than they treat the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I won't go as far as saying they conscientiously take advantage of. But it's kind of like, doing a job for your brother or your sister or something like that. You're like, well, urgency isn't there that it is for, a high paying customer that you don't know,
Yeah.
right? That you're trying to impress, maybe.
Right. Right.
And they're like, well, it's okay. I can do a half job,
yeah.
but then they have to forgive me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That kind of thing. They may not think that stuff out loud, but we've known people that have been sorely disappointed and let down by other Christian business people that they've engaged with on purpose because they had a relationship or because they trusted them as a Christian to be able to do that and deliver, and they didn't.
Mm. Yeah.
And you told me of someone that was in that situation, but how they reacted was so godly. It was a shining example of how they did. They didn't want to badmouth anybody.
Yeah.
But they also showed behaviors of when they had mistakes and let down customers in their own business, how they reacted to it. They did everything in their power to make it right. And then they didn't broadcast it.
Right.
A lot of times they didn't even tell the customer.
Yeah. I mean, just
They ate the cost.
Yeah.
And we don't see that a whole lot. We don't see that. I think if you're going to engage in business, and I'll say this, if you're a Christian business person, and I'm going to say this in a particular way, be wary of doing business with other Christian business people. Not because you shouldn't trust them, but because when you do that, you need to realize that your testimony is on the line, and you need to treat them well. You need to execute better than you've ever executed.
Mm-hmm.
You go out of your way. That is a child of God, called just like you, and you need to go do everything humanly possible to make sure whatever you say you're going to do, you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you do it well.
Yeah.
And you go above and beyond.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daniel, there's a saying that people often use, and they say, well, and here locally, and this is not a knock to these people, and so if they hear this, I promise you it's not a knock to you, they'll say, we'll treat you like family. Like there's a commercial, somebody says that, and I can't remember who it was. So, but they say,
Don't do that.
blah, 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 come, we'll treat you like family. I'm like, whoa, partner. You don't know my family. Okay?
Means something different.
I don't want to shop there if you're going to treat me like my family. So let's be careful with that.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean by that. The idea of family, because families should support each other, right? And as a Christian, we should be part of the same family, the family of God, and we should be supporting each other, but not just supporting the Christian who's on their way to heaven. We should be supporting everybody, because we want the ones who are unsaved to get to heaven too.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we do that? By being a shining example for God to Christians and non-Christians alike.
Yeah.
Whether we agree with, maybe they're Muslim. Okay, so be it. You still treat them right.
Sure.
They're a customer nonetheless. They're a human being nonetheless.
100%.
Whether or not you agree with how their take on religion, that's irrelevant. You still treat them with dignity.
Yeah.
Christ did the same thing. He didn't treat anybody differently.
Yeah.
And so treat them like family. I'm like, well, no, I want to treat you better than family.
Yeah.
And then number two, like you were talking about, with that I want to tell you to utilize Christian businesses over secular businesses, meaning people that you may know who aren't necessarily Christian business or don't portray themselves as a Christian business. But if you're not going to exemplify Christ in your Christian business that you say it is, and you're not going to do that, then take that Christian business mindset out of it.
Yeah.
100%. Because you're only doing a disservice to the Word of God, and you're doing more of a disservice to you. And I tell you, it's harder to reach anybody for God through that.
Yeah.
Well,
that takes you back, full circle. It's a biblical principle. I'd rather you be hot or cold.
Yes.
You're going to be lukewarm.
Yes.
Not only is God going to spew you out of your mouth, all the rest of the business community is going to shun you. And I think it's vital. I think Christians have done a lot to harm their testimony in the world. Poor actors. And that's across the board. My father's been in the ministry for 55 years. And he said, I remember back in the 60s and 70s, even 80s, he said, I'd never broadcast it, but if somebody knew I was a minister, they would go out of their way to show respect or to take care of you. And he said, I never asked for it, but they would always, they wanted to show respect to a minister.
Yeah.
You don't see that today. Not because, and we sometimes want to say, well, that's because the world's becoming more ungodly. No, it's the same it's always been. It's because we've no longer shown ourselves as a whole to be worthy of that respect or that honor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you think of the past 30 years and the church, things that have happened and gone on, and the way we've treated the world and gotten involved in things we shouldn't have gotten involved in sometimes. Politics is a dangerous thing for the church to get involved in. I think it should be active in it, but be very careful. It's got it can have a big blowback. And that changes the way people view you.
Yeah.
We should be coming from a position that people should know and trust that we're going to love them, we're going to not accept them in that traditional sense, but we want them to have a relationship with God, and that we're going to act in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do anything that's going to harm them. We're not going to trick them. We're not going to be deceitful with them. We're going to speak truth to them and love to them.
Yeah.
The actual truth. We're not going to mince words or say everything's okay and you're fine. But we're going to do it in love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not been done.
No.
And that's not been done. And I think that translates a lot into our business. Let me say this. It's okay to not meet the expectations of your customers.
Right.
If you then take the steps to make that right.
Yes.
Right? That's the next step.
Yep.
It just does in life as a Christian. We fail. We sin. That's not the end of the game. It's not supposed to be then now that's our pattern. It's supposed to be asking for forgiveness, restoration, then regeneration.
Yep.
You know, putting things in our lives and building ourselves stronger spiritually in God and our relationship with Him to make sure that those things don't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you don't take those steps that permanently alters your reputation. And we should be very wary of that as Christians. And that's part of what we are here for, is not because that we had it figured out, not because we've never disappointed somebody, not because we've never let anybody down. We all have.
Yeah.
100%. But because we think it's very important that Christians need to know that we are part of God's body. We are part of His kingdom. We hold His reputation. We hold Him in front of us like a giant sign. And whether we like it or not, we are representatives of Him.
Mm-hmm.
So how we interact with people, how we run our businesses, what we do for a business, what we do with what God gives us in the business, what we do with the finances, what we do with the people, that we, not just customers, but employees, all reflect God
Yeah.
to the world.
Yeah.
When they see you treat somebody poorly, they see God treating someone poorly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, flat out.
Yeah.
And same thing with Christians, Christian business to Christian business. If you're treating someone poorly as a Christian businessman, that can shake their faith and trust in people.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in God, but it may.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It does not make it easier.
Especially when you're a new convert or somebody who's on the cusp of becoming a new convert, right? And they have no preconceived notion of what God is, or maybe they have a slight preconceived notion of what God may be, and you're the image of Christ, or what should be the image of Christ. And so they see you showing up late, or not communicating well, or doing a sloppy job, or overcharging, when you said, hey, I was going to do it for this, but then something changed, and now I'm going to do it for that. And though your contract said this, or whatever it may be. Well, of course they're going to say, well, is that what God's like? Is He going to be changing like that all the time? Is He going to be that kind of a person? I mean, if this person is representing God, and he's supposed to be, love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and the other is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so if the love your neighbor as yourself means I'm treating you like I'm loving God, well, if that's how you love God and you're a reflection of God, well, that's not the thing I want to be a part of.
100%.
Let me go to a different religion and find out about that. And I promise you, they're going to find one that they're going to like. And I'm not saying like, Baptist or Pentecostal. I'm talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, the Nazarene.
Yeah.
And so we talked about this before the episode is earlier today. When I talked to my daughters this week, get on to them about how they treat their mama, and I said, it takes a lot of good to overcome the bad, the negativity.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't take much negativity. You can build a business for years.
Mm.
You do one thing wrong, and all of a sudden now your business tanks.
Yep.
You can do one thing wrong, and it's going to take you a lot of good to overcome that
100%.
one wrong. You can overcome it, but it takes a lot.
Sure.
You know, and I was telling them, I said, it's not that you do one thing wrong and then one thing right and they equal out. And you
Yeah.
go, now we're on a level playing field. No. You know, depending on what it is, if it's just something real light, you know, you can maybe do 2 or 3 things and you're back on level playing field.
Mhm.
You're just, nobody's thinking of you negative or positive. They're just kind of neutral. You got to then do even more than that.
Yeah.
So you got to bring your A game.
Sure.
You
Well,
know.
I think it comes down to, and this is kind of appropriate because we talked about this last night in our entrepreneur group, because we share a little bit of a verse out of a Proverbs every time. And last night was just, it was like a godsend on it, and these verses kind of popped out. If you're going to come into a Christian business, and we've talked about this multiple times, just as business in general, it will require humility. If you want to be successful, you want to represent the Lord with integrity, it requires humility. That is something that takes a lot of work to do, and you have to conscientiously be, because you will be humbled otherwise. You know, you're going to be humble one way or the other. But there's 2 types of people, and Proverbs is brilliant at doing this. It always juxtaposes the fool and the wise man. Always. You see that over and over again. And last night we talked about Proverbs 9. And the verses, and I'm going to read these. I don't normally read verses on here, but I'm going to do it today. It is more than just the surface reading of this. But Proverbs 9, 8 through 10. Do not rebuke a scoffer, or he will hate you. Don't rebuke a fool. He will hate you. Rebuke a wise person, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise person. He will become still wiser. Teach a righteous person. He will increase his insight. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. It's talking to somebody about what to do, how to interact with fools and wise people, how they will receive instruction or rebuke. But it also speaks to the opposite. Don't be a fool. It's an easy test to find out if you're a fool.
Yeah.
If somebody criticizes you, and it's a legitimate criticism, or even if it's not, how you react.
Yeah.
You know, going back to that example of that person.
Yeah.
How they reacted to being wronged,
Mm-hmm.
right, speaks to whether you're a fool or a wise person.
Yeah.
Someone gives you criticism or rebukes you for doing something wrong, and your reaction is, I didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you become even more obstinate.
Yeah.
You're a fool. You're acting like a fool at that point. A wise person's going to take that. It may upset them at first, but they're going to take that deep breath and go, okay, Lord, what are you teaching me here?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to adjust. They're going to become wiser still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you make that decision to be a wise person, you lay down all that ego, which is hard for an entrepreneur a lot of times, because we do everything. So we start thinking we can do everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just because we work at everything. Lay that down. Become a wise person. Become a wise entrepreneur. Be conscientious of doing that. How do we do that? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. You want to truly understand what God has for you, and in your business, the fear of the Lord is a proper understanding of who He is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, weren't, when they came into the presence of God in Scripture, they fell on their faces. Not just because they were scared that He was going to do something to them, but because they saw who He was and had no other reaction but to, I'm not worthy.
Mm-hmm.
That fear. That's only, when you understand who God is, that's the only time you can start beginning the knowledge and the understanding of who He is. The more you can do that, trust me, it'll change your business. It'll change how you operate. Because it's going to do one of 2 things. I mean, it's going to do one thing. It's going to show you what's important and what's not.
Yep.
100%. It's going to help you prioritize. It's going to keep it bigger, because you can get lost in the rigors of the day. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad week. You're going to have a bad year. But if you understand what the Lord has for you and where your place is in it and who God is, it's just a bump in the road.
That's it.
It allows you to transcend just yourself and your own wants and desires, and see things from God's perspective. You're going to be able to approach business and people and every day better and wiser if you have the right perspective on it. And that is why we're here, is because God is doing this work in us, and we want to take you along on it and allow you to have some things that we wish we would have had sometimes in those harder times, in those good times. Allow us to share the last 20 years of our lives with you. And we want to put some resources together for people to help them overcome and learn from other people's mistakes, other people's struggles. And God has laid things out for us. It all comes back down to Scripture at the end of the day.
Yeah,
foundation of all truth. Mm-hmm. Nothing is new under the sun. Yep. Nothing is new. It's just a rediscovery of His truth. We may think we've come up with something great, but it's just returning back. And God's just sitting there waiting and said, what took you so long?
Yeah,
right?
That's it.
Over and over and over again. So, well, I've enjoyed, I love just sitting down and talking. We have to do this more often.
Yeah, it's always...
it's easier than booking people a lot.
Well, that's a true statement. That is definitely a true statement. But it's always a pleasure, and it's always a lot of fun to just have this one-on-one time, whether it's here behind the microphone or in a coffee shop or, on the phone while we're driving out somewhere. It's...
this is how we talk when we're not on podcast.
But it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, business is... it's just part of who we are, and not just the business part of it, but what is part of who we are.
Sure.
Is what we've been saying this entire time, is the mission of what we're seeing, and it's the desire to see people move forward in a positive way.
Yeah.
Not just your business grow and you become wealthy. Sure, that's great. But where you move forward and grow in a more spiritual and integrity and purpose-filled way. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to be a Christian, I can't do anything about that. I don't know, for those watching or listening, I don't know any more that Daniel's saved than he knows if I'm saved, because that is something between you and God, right? I can say I'm saved. You don't truly know that. I don't know if my pastor is truly saved, because that's between him and God. I assume that based on the way he lives and conducts himself and all that stuff, right? But you can still live those principles out. You can still have integrity. You can still run your business sharply by the Bible, by those principles in there, and not be a Christian. Now, I prefer you to be, because I would love everybody to be in heaven one day with us. But that will make you a much better person, first off. Number two, it will definitely cause your stress levels to be a lot lower. Does that mean that my stress levels are always low, though, as a Christian business owner? Not at all.
Yeah.
But I think they're a lot lower than what they would be.
Yeah.
I could imagine where I'd be at if I didn't have God behind me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have other good Christian business owners behind me that I can, support and lean on. I don't know what things would look like.
Yeah.
And so that's really our mission, is to see people and change the culture in that direction. And I like the fact that when we first started, it was like, okay, we're unashamedly Christian, but we're not really a podcast that's going to push that. And we've shifted and said, okay, look, we need to be more that way, because that's what God has us here for.
Yeah.
He's put this plan together. And he said, no, that's what I want you here for.
Yeah.
You have a purpose, and your purpose is to grow people up and move forward. And it's just, I know that's a fact because of everything that you said and everything that I've said, how it all aligned and came in perfect contact. So it's crazy. If people only understood those or saw those conversations outside of here, and they're like, yep, there's that spark.
Yep.
I want,
100%.
That's the spark, you know.
God has done this. God has done this, and He's accomplished it. And we're looking forward to see what God's going to accomplish in the future through it, and allow Him to try as much as possible for us to get out of the way and let God do something amazing.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to do. Well, I think that's going to be it for this week. So we'll have a guest back on next week. We're looking forward to that. I'm very excited about who our next guest is going to be. And we're going to continue bringing people to you and sharing their real stories of what God's done in their lives and in their businesses, and continue to look out, because we're going to have a lot of resources coming at you, a lot of things that are really going to help make a difference in your spiritual life, in your mental capacity and strength and sharpness, and keeping you healthy and well and effective longer. Over the next few months, you'll see a lot of that stuff coming out. We're going to have a lot of opportunities for Christian entrepreneurs to feed into one another and to live life with each other, to help each other, to pour into one another. You'll see a lot of that stuff coming out. So stay tuned to it. Interact with us. Go on and subscribe. That makes a huge difference for our podcast. If you interact with us and subscribe to us and join our Facebook and our other social medias and our website, where our resources are, that will really help us get the resources we need to be able to do this job and to do it well in a God-honoring way. So look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you for joining us on the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast. Thank you for joining us on the ARC Entrepreneur Podcast. Help other people discover our show and follow us on Spotify and YouTube. That's where you can see and hear all of our podcasts that we record. Also, check us out on WPNN Radio 103.7 Sundays at 10 a.m. And follow us and subscribe to our pages on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And you can see all the things that we have available for you, our articles, our devotionals, and just videos that'll help inspire you and get you going for the day. And join the conversation. Send us a message. You can email us at the arcentrepreneur.podcast@gmail.com, or go to our website at thearcpodcast.com. Share the episode. It's the biggest thing you can do to help. Share and subscribe and get this into the hands of other entrepreneurs that really need to hear those stories and to find those spark conversations that'll make all the difference in their business. We hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.